What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Kings Island, specifically Area 72. Now, if you saw the video we posted, you got to hear our reactions to riding Orion for the first time. And today, we're gonna do something a little different. If you visited the area, you might have noticed there are a lot of cool references in the area to past attractions. So today, we are going to go through all of the references we can find to talk about what they mean and what they're referring to. And I want to start things off. First off, Area 72 is a reference to the park opening in 1972. Bit of an easy one, and there'll be some that are going to be a little bit more obscure than others, but that one's an easy one to kick things off. Another easier reference, Fort Mason, is of course a reference to Mason, Ohio, the city that Kings Island is located in. To the right of Orion, we have Building 44, Chaos Labs Inc. That is a reference to the maze that was here this past haunt season. And right here outside of Flight of Fear, we have the quarantine area. This is of course referencing COVID-19. I'm sorry, that was a joke. It doesn't reference anything. I'm sure it was planned before COVID. Over here in Flight of Fear's queue, we have some new theming. 79, that represents the Beast. 91, that represents Adventure Express. 2000, Son of Beast. 2014, Banshee. And 2017, Mystic Timbers. One of the new things you'll notice in Area 72 is Flight of Fear has brand new theming in the exit. I want to start things off by first acknowledging my favorite piece of theming in the entire land. And that is, guys, we have our own Easter egg. Look at that. C Studios B-roll. Coaster Studios B-roll in the middle of Flight of Fear. Look at that, guys. We are officially an Easter egg and a reference within Kings Island. How cool is that? Some of the other references you'll notice there, if you look to the far left, WOF, Worlds of Fun. Over here, you can see Bavarian Beetle, that is a past attraction at Kings Island. Dispatch Master Transport, 12E, Welcome to Alaska. Of course, that is a reference to Disaster Transport at Cedar Point. Right here, you can see Magma XL Rock Sequence, 89. That being a reference to Magnum XL, which opened in 1989. As for the others, none of them really stand out to me as possible Easter eggs, though I certainly could be wrong. And if you happen to know what some of the other things might mean, let me know. Directly next to all that, we have a map from Atlas. Now, in doing some research, Atlas is not directly a reference to anything in particular. It was completely made up to theme this area. But you can see this drawing here of schematics of some sort. What is that? That is a map of Kings Island. You can see specifically where International Street is, where the Eiffel Tower is. And so, naturally, some of the drawings on here relate to past attractions. Like you can see here, Miami River Lumber Company. That's a reference to Mystic Timbers. You can even see 0017. That being 2017 when it opened. Each of the outposts are references to different rides. Outpost 14, H Hill Estate, Haunted Hill Estate, that's Banshee. And right above it, 0091, Adventure Express. We Will Pay, that is a reference to as you're going up the lift hill with all those monkey statues going up there, they will say, you will pay, you've disturbed the Forbidden Temple. So they put in a we will pay right there. Bureau of Paranormal Activity 96, that is a reference to Flight of Fear. And of course that giant paw print. Paw prints don't match known form. That is the Beast, which is 0079 Sycamore Mine. Throughout Area 72 you'll see this drawing where you see 3 loops and an alien spaceship directly above it. That is actually a reference to Flight of Fear's pre-show while you're waiting to get on the ride. And they've that drawing in Orion's queue as well. It's part of all tying the area together. You can see this photo right here of this monkey statue. That looks like it came from Adventure Express. Right here for Mystic Timbers, you can see the shed, and they've even said shed overgrown. Here you can see 2 more references to Mystic Timbers, one of them being the station when it was under construction, the other one being the view you get of the shed when you hit the brake run. Right here you can see an artist rendition of what the original Flight of Fear facade looked like. Building 18, Hangar C. Right here in the center you can see an artist rendition of the spaceship that you see in Flight of Fear's pre-show. And to the right of it you see a picture of a girl named Joan. That is Joan Trenton, otherwise known as Major Trenton in Flight of Fear's pre-show. On the TVs here you have some video footage from other attractions like Miami River Lumber Company, Mystic Timbers. Looks like they're investigating what's in the shed. Behind the chairs you see some red containers. They are labeled Firehawk Hydro Fuel. We all know what that's referencing. The now defunct Vekoma Flying Dutchman that Orion replaced. Right next to it you see a white box with all of this wiring in it. I do not know this for sure, however, because it's next to Firehawk, my hunch is that that is some sort of panel that came directly from Firehawk that they threw in as theming. I do not have a confirmation on that though. However, I would not be surprised if that actually came from Firehawk. Underneath the shelf right here, we have PSV-32. That is a direct reference to Son of Beast, which was Perimeter Surveillance Vehicle. They had that covering the trains. Directly next to that Son of Beast reference, we have what appears to be a coaster seat. I believe that is from Firehawk. If someone believes it's from something else though, let me know. In the top right hand corner of the new Flight of Fear exit theming, you see some books labeled Ohio cases. That is of course referencing the rising number of COVID-19 cases in Ohio. I'm sorry, that was another joke. When you ride Orion, one thing you will notice are lots of different barrels. Believe it or not, these were actually from the old International Street fountains. As you know, they were recently updated, so they didn't have the big pedestals in the center. These were repurposed from that and put in as theming in the queue and in the plaza. This one in particular is Radium XL200. That, of course, is a reference to Magnum XL200. Igneous is a type of rock, and 12E references disaster transport at Cedar Point. Over here, sedimentary, another type of rock, 325, of course referencing Fury 325, and metamorphic, the last type of rock, VTBC, Volcano, the Blast Coaster at King's Dominion. Pretty cool. Here in the queue, you'll see 3 different pieces of large rock that are pieces of meteorite that have been marked. What's kind of interesting about these is that they were actually repurposed from Whitewater Canyon, the river rafting ride in Rivertown. They just brought them over and stuck them in Orion's queue. Pretty cool. Over here by the photo for Orion, they do have a drawing representing Orion from Greek mythology. You can recognize him because of his bow and arrow, and we're actually going to see another reference to that a little later. In the queue, you'll see some signs that say Project X. That was the code name for Orion before it had officially been announced. If you had seen the plans that were leaked to the local county ordinances that had the layout for Orion, you would have seen on them it said Project X. While you're waiting for Orion, you will see multiple different coverings with different outpost numbers on there. This one in particular is Outpost 20. That references the year 2020 when Orion opened. Let's take a look at some of the other outposts. This one here is Outpost 7. That, of course, is referring to Firehawk, the ride that Orion replaced. That opened here at Kings Island in 2007. And the third and final outpost here in Orion's queue is Outpost 87. This references Vortex, which opened in 1987 and just recently closed. Nice they gave it a tribute in their newest coasters queue. Over here on the far side of the queue, you can see multiple Orion posters, and they have a bow and arrow on them. In Greek mythology, Orion was a giant huntsman that Zeus placed in the stars, and that's how you get the constellation of Orion. Pretty cool, the more you know. Right here you can see Security Outpost 19C. I do not know this for sure, but my assumption is that 19 stands for 2019, aka the year that Orion was announced, also the last year that Vortex operated. We've made it inside Orion's pre-show building, if you will. One of the first things you'll see right here, Racer Radio. Of course, being a reference to the classic Racer roller coaster in Coney Mall. There's so many references to Flight of Fear in Orion's queue that they even included a picture from the queue of Flight of Fear in Orion's queue. Here's that same triple loop design, this time in blue instead of yellow. On the far wall of the queue, we have several references to some of their other attractions like Firehawk and Invertigo. That right there, you can see a layout for Firehawk. There, like a schematic drawing of Invertigo, you can see a schematic drawing for Firehawk. You might remember during the teasing process how they were using some posters from past attractions that included Rotor 72, Layer and Curve, and Shooting Star. Those posters are all in the queue, and you can even see some pictures on the wall, a little bit smaller, of some of those attractions. Like the other billboards, this one features references to past attractions. Particularly, we have some for Vortex 87. You can see a schematic and overhead view of the layout. On the table in the center, you can see schematics for the front of the trains as well as the layout of the coaster. They've titled it the Orion Sequence. In the corner of those schematics, it says Orion Sequence number 300 Test 20. Number 300 references the height of the coaster, and Test 20 references the year 2020. You can even see that bow and arrow that we saw earlier in the queue to the side. We got some Flight of Fear and Bear and Curve ones, and look, they even have Schwarzkopf on it. And the final piece of theme I want to reference is right before you get on the coaster, you will see these triangles, each of them referencing a past attraction at Kings Island. You can see the Rotor, Baron Curve, Shooting Star, Zodiac, Skylab, Invertigo, Firehawk, Flight of Fear, and Vortex. Many of those you'll recognize when they were teasing the attraction on the construction wall outside the coaster. And you can see them once again in a very cool design right before you get on Orion. Well, everyone, that's gonna do it. We've looked long and hard searching for Easter eggs all around Area 72, and we were able to find quite a bit. However, I'm sure there are some really tiny details that I might have missed. So I'd love to hear down in the comments below if there are some that you spotted that I might have overlooked in this video. But I hope that you enjoyed this. If you visit Kings Island in Area 72, hopefully this gives you an idea of what to look out for. So make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel, and of course stay tuned for more content from Orion, Kings Island, and roller coasters and theme parks all across the world. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.